Welcome to Beyond Marketing, the podcast. I'm Maira Genovese. I'm the founder and CEO of MG Power Global Integrated Market Agency. Today's guest is not only someone I deeply admire, but someone we have had the true pleasure of collaborating with at MG Power. Tati Lindenberg is Brazilian, most and foremost, and the VP of Marketing behind That Is Good at Unilever, a brand that's proving even detergent can become a catalyst for positive culture and social change. An Ad Age leading women in advertising, Cannes Lions winner, and proud Latina leader. Tati is redefining what purpose-led marketing looks like at scale, turning everyday products into movements that matters. Tati, welcome to Beyond Marketing, the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We've been trying for a long time, but as two busy ladies that is just doing so much, I'm very grateful that you're here today.
Thank you.
Tati, I'm just like, Beyond Marketing, the podcast is all about not just amazing, marketing campaigns that our guests work behind, the brand that they work with, but it's about as well the people behind the brands, the people stories. And I know you, and I am like a huge fan and admirer of your trajectory as a professional. You've been at Unilever for how long now?
21 years.
21 years. But what I wanted you to tell the audience, first and foremost, like, who is Tati Lindenberg and how your journey has started coming from Brazil and today is just like this massive power woman behind That Is Good. As I said at the beginning of the introduction of the podcast, winning awards, creating campaigns that is just like completely outside of the box, but also everything that you do and everything that you touch, there's a meaning and there's a purpose. But tell us about your journey, because I know to get to where you are, there was a long path.
Yes, indeed. So I was born in Brazil, but I grew up in a very small town, for Brazilians, Gurupi, Tocantins, so kind of middle of nowhere. So it was a place in which opportunities felt very limited. And for that very reason, it was a challenging place, and I have to always think about different ways in which I could do things differently and I could thrive despite the odds. So that gave me a lot of resilience, a lot of, I have to say also resources to navigate complexity. At the same time, I was lucky enough to be born in a family of a lot of artists. So my mom was a dancer, my brother's a music therapist, my closest cousin is a writer. So because of that, I was always surrounded by art. And I think the combination of trying to be resourceful and at the same time be in a very creative place gave me drive and resilience to keep pushing and to dream that I could have a different life. Definitely, if I would have stayed in Gurupi, I would probably now be married to a farmer and I would have a beautiful life, but very different to what I dreamed. So I remember when I was a teenager, I took the decision that I would move to São Paulo. My family is from São Paulo, so I moved them to São Paulo to go to university. And from that moment, I also decided that I would love to live outside of Brazil. So I studied marketing and communication at ESPM.
It's an amazing university, by the way.
It is very close to my heart still. And after university, I worked in other companies like Pão de Açúcar and Whirlpool. And finally, when I joined Unilever, I actually joined because I wanted to live outside of Brazil. And I realized I need to work in a multinational company to do so. In the interview, I've made that super clear. And I joined Unilever in 2004. And 2006, I was living in the Netherlands. So
after 2 years.
After 2 years.
But when you started at Unilever, you went straight to That Is Good? Was your first product? No.
No, I was working on consumer insights, so it was not brand specific. So for between 2004 and 2009, I was working throughout only on consumer insights, but in home care. So from the very beginning, I've been working laundry. I did have 5 years in personal care and beauty, but the majority of my career has been in laundry.
You talk about resilience, because there's a lot of people that they asked me, because I'm a very resilient person as well. And then people sometimes ask, well, how to be resilient? So going back, when you think about your life in Tocantins, and then you said that, you have the foundation where your mom was a dancer. I didn't know about that. That's beautiful. And how do you kind of like how did you build up that resilience and actually made that your kind of power to have the courage to say, I will go to São Paulo and figure that out?
I think it's about trusting my perspective and my uniqueness. So when I was, funny enough, I was born in São Paulo and moved to Tocantins when I was 3 years. So throughout my childhood and the teenager years, I found it very difficult to fit in because I was just different from people who were born in Tocantins. I had a different perspective, different family background, and I realized quite early that what I had to do was to not be afraid of standing out, and that by standing out and being unique, I could eventually fit in. When I moved back to São Paulo, I thought, okay, now I'll find my group. But it was the opposite, because then people in São Paulo looked at me and said, who is this girl from Tocantins? So I always felt that I was a bit of an outsider. And that gave me the ability to say, instead of transforming that difference in something that I needed to hide, I basically realized that that could be my strength. And that is what was giving me the resilience to say, well, maybe I'm not the same, but the difference is what's going to make me unique. I think that's, in a way, the way that I built resilience.
So you never kind of like care much about what other people are thinking about you. So it just was more.
No, I did care, but
okay.
But
you didn't let this
I didn't
stop
let
you.
that stop me. Exactly. I did care. I would lie if I say I never really care. But at the same time, every time that I would feel like, well, why I'm not fitting in? What am I missing? And when I realized that I have some uniqueness in terms of point of view or perspective, I decided that that would not stop me. And that over and over and over started building up this sort of like resilience.
Is there something from your childhood, especially from Tocantins, that you use nowadays?
Oh, interesting question. I think this ability of going through despite the odds. Because when you grow up in a place that, as I've mentioned, the opportunities are limited, you needed to do the best with whatever is given to you. I always say that instead of complaining about life, I look at the deck of cards that life gives, and I was like, how can I play the best game with that? And that is something that I still do nowadays, even here in London and in Dirt is Good.
Amazing. I love that. And people don't have to understand, like, because we're both from, South America and Brazil, but to be in the position that you are today, it's quite phenomenal, especially now that you're saying that you came from Tocantins, moved to São Paulo, and all your story, even make it you even more someone like that we can admire it and then be inspired by, because people don't understand what is to be an immigrant, right? What is to be an immigrant, that you have your dreams and you have your ambitions and you wanted to break through that, but leave your country and trying to be someone in a different place with a different language and different culture. It is not for everyone. And then you have your staff from Tocantins, São Paulo to Tocantins, Tocantins to São Paulo to Indonesia. So how was that transition of, okay, now I'm going to break through outside my own country? Did you feel the same as you're feeling when you're starting your career? The difference, the challenges, but how do you overcome challenge when it's outside your uncomfortable zone?
So let me start by saying I am very aware of the privileges I had as well, be it because of my skin color, the color of my eyes, my surname helped as well. So I'm very, very aware of that. But because I was always, for some reason, placed in places in which I don't feel exactly or the most comfortable, I started to realize that the only way out would be to listen deeply. So I think that gave me a lot of empathy as well, not only the resilience to break through, but also empathy in terms of understanding how are people different, or why is this culture different to mine. And when I moved first to the Netherlands, I remember that it was everything for me so
Oh, it was
different.
Netherlands. For some reason, I understood Indonesia.
No worries. But it was Netherlands, then India, then back to São Paulo, then London, a bit like all over the place. But throughout all of these different countries and different life opportunities, I realized that people are different and there is not a single truth in the world. But these obviously gave me this ability of like listen deeply, and it shaped everything, shaped who I am, shaped my leadership style, and shaped as well the way in which I lead or steer brands, because it's really about having the ability of understanding where I am, as I said, the privilege that I have, but at the same time looking at everything that is out there and respect those differences and trying to make the best out of it.
Do you consider yourself a good listener?
Oh, very good. Yes.
And how do you, like, because to be a good listener is not for everyone, right? So it's something that you have to practice, and you have to have the consciousness that you have to let people speak without, not interrupting, but with the ability of listening carefully before you give in an opinion. Is there any secret to become like a good listener, or you always being like this?
No, just patience. No, but I remember that I had a line manager who is a mentor as well, Steve Miles, and he helped me even further in saying, always listen generously. It doesn't mean you're going to do something.
Or you're going to agree.
Yeah, it doesn't mean exactly that you're going to agree. It does not mean that you're going to do what people are asking you to do, but take the time to listen and take in. And what I realize, I'm not always patient, but what I realize over time is sometimes I listen to something, I get a bit like, mad. I was like, I don't agree, or I wouldn't do it like that. And sometimes I need to take in as well. So when I speak about be patient, it's not only patient in the moment, but also being patient with yourself in terms of sometimes people say things like at work that I'm like, I don't know if I fully agree. And I needed to be patient with myself. Sometimes it would take, I don't know, 1 or 2 days for me to completely take in and then do something about it, or even choose to ignore. But I think it's really the ability of also being self-aware
100%
on when you are listening, because sometimes you just get a bit or upset because there is something in there that potentially is the thing that you have to listen to.
It's so true. It's so true. But it's, as you say, like, is the ability to listen generous. I love that, because it's just have that patience, and then have the self-awareness is, I think, something that I'm constantly trying to have more and more of the self-awareness, because sometimes, like, especially like when you talk like during, at work with your employees or with your clients, the answer, and you don't want it to actually wait for the person to do the whole talking, because you already know what the answer would be or the solution for that problem. But then you have to really have the self-awareness. Okay, I'm going to listen into the end. I know what the answer is going to be. I know what is the solution, but I need to give the chance to other people to say what they're thinking. Then Netherlands, and then India, which is a completely the opposite of Brazil, Netherlands. India is a beautiful country. I've been there once and I fall in love. What was your experience in India? Because then it's a new world.
I adored India. I lived in Mumbai, and I think
Love Mumbai. It's just crazy.
it's beautiful.
It's
But it's
beautiful,
crazy beautiful, yes. And I think what India has is this, actually, it attacks your senses because it is visually like striking, but at the same time it's the smell, the visual, so the noises as well. I remember the noise, for instance.
The noisy.
There was not a single moment that you would say, okay, now can you shut down? In a way, it's similar to, okay, I'm going to say something that, in a way, it's similar to New York. It doesn't, it hits you. But I think in India, the power of this oversensorial experience is even higher. So I actually must say that I felt very tired in the first few months in India. And I couldn't understand why, up until the point that I was like, okay, of course, there is a lot going on, a lot for you to take in and to absorb and to make up. So, but I really, really loved the work environment in India. Unilever in India is very strong. So it's called Hindustan Unilever. And whenever you are, even if you're in a restaurant and you're like, oh, I work at HUL, as we call, and I remember people, oh my God. So it also helped a lot. But it's a country of contrasts, like Brazil. So in that sense, I have to say that I felt more at home in India than I felt in the Netherlands.
Interesting. And why? Because it's more closer to,
I think,
Brazil in sense of...
Yeah, I think the contrast is closer to Brazil. And there is something very beautiful that if anyone would ever go to Gurupi, Tocantins, it's a very dry place. And it's a place that we don't have so many pavements, or we didn't have back in the days that I lived there. So you actually see the dust, coming from like the floor up. And that creates a beautiful landscape, which is basically dust. India has exactly the same. So I remember the first time that I arrived in India, I was like, oops, it's remarkably close to home. So I don't know, I just sensorially felt very close to home. And the way that society is built has the same sort of like challenges and contrasts as you see in Brazil. Of course, regardless of the differences in terms of religion and beliefs, but it's
and I think the people there reminds Brazilians as well, because they're very kind and they're very warm in India.
Yes, they are. And they also have something that we call in Brazil jeitinho brasileiro, which is this way that we always have.
That only Brazilian knows.
Yeah, true. But it's pretty much, for the ones who don't know, it's pretty much a way in which you use your creativity to manage situations. And there is a similar word in India called jugad, which is exactly the same.
It's like jeitinho brasileiro.
It's like jeitinho brasileiro. So, which is also, how can you find a way to make things happen? So I felt home, basically.
How long did you stay there?
1 year and a half.
1 year and a half. And then from Mumbai?
I went back to São Paulo. Because there was an opportunity to work in Dirt is Good. It was my first time working in Dirt is Good.
Dirt is Good was your goal? You were just like, I wanted to get it to Dirt is Good? Or that was just happened?
No, I wanted to. And that's why I wanted to stay in India for longer. But when the opportunity of being Dirt is Good came, I couldn't say no, because I knew that was kind of like my karma and something I have to do. So I then agreed to move all the way back to São Paulo to work in Dirt is Good. I worked in DIG, as we call, like for nearly 2.5 years. Then I had some other... I worked across other brands. And then finally I came back home, back to Dirt is Good in 2020. So I really felt that those initial 2.5 years in Dirt is Good were fundamental to shape me as the marketer I am today. But somehow I felt I wanted to. And also Dirt is Good in Brazil is Omo, and it's an iconic brand.
It's an iconic brand.
So for me it was like working one of the most iconic brands in the world, so I couldn't say no. And that's why, despite the fact I was not planning to go back to Brazil. Once I left to the Netherlands, I was sure that I would not come back, but the opportunity was too good for me to decline.
And then you stayed in São Paulo for more like 3 years?
Actually, between Dirt is Good, then I also led value brands for Latin America. I stayed for 4 years approximately. This is also when I had my son. So he was born in São Paulo. So I got pregnant, had my son, and then I moved to London in 2014.
Stopping here to talk about motherhood, because you've been through all of this career path till the time you had your son. And then as a mother, I know how this can change completely. It's changed everything, right? So it's changed the person that you are. It's changed your life's, perspective. It's changed your dreams. But it's not for every woman that when they become a mother, that they continue to have the same drive and the same passion and the same objective to get what they wanted to be, because there's still, unfortunately, this, stigma that when we women, when we become a mother, that we cannot be as successful as you are today. So what was this transition of becoming a mother, but still have that, dream and ambition to be that powerhouse that you have today? How did you balance that at the time, and how you did not let that moment of motherhood to stop you to be where you are today?
So a combination of factors. First of all, there is the point about seeing my mom when I was a child or when I was a teenager, and I could remember my mom had her own dance company, if I can name it like that. And she was always a workaholic. And I used to see my mom pushing for her career and being an incredible mom at the same time. So for me, I never grew up with the bias that, if I want to be successful, I cannot be a mom. Because the example that I had home was someone who was very successful and an incredible mom to me and my brother. So first of all, I had no bias. I never really stopped myself saying, or a limiting belief, I have to say, as in, if now that I'm pregnant, what's going to happen? In fact, fun fact, 2 months, yes, I got a promotion. I was working Dirt is Good, and then I was promoted to lead value brands. And I vividly remember that the promotion came in September of a given year. Now I can't calculate. By November, beginning of November, I found out I was pregnant. And I didn't even know how I would go to my line manager to say,
I'm pregnant.
By the way, I know you just promoted me 2 months ago, but I'm pregnant. And then, of course, as you asked me at the beginning, do I care about what people would think? Yes, I did. And I started thinking, people will gossip. They will say that I was just waiting to get the promotion, to be pregnant, etc. But I think, eventually I told my line manager, who himself has 4 kids, and he just looked at me. He said, don't be silly. It's fine. But for me, it's a combination of potentially 4 things. One, I did not have the limiting belief that I have to stop my career or slow it down. And by the way, I think that I fully respect people who decided to slow down. It's absolutely fine. It's a choice. But I didn't have that as a limiting belief, and I wanted to keep pushing. Then I have an incredible line manager who really acknowledged the fact that he understood for me it was a difficult transition, being promoted and at the same time find out that I was pregnant, but he was very supportive. Then I've been also working in an incredible company. Unilever really has, across the different countries, an incredible also support system. In fact, in Brazil, Unilever has a nursery. So when Tom was 6 months old, I used to bring him to work with me.
That's good.
And I remember that I would come down every day, 1 p.m. to breastfeed him up until he was 1 year. That was incredible. And then last but in no way least, the support system of my family. So having my mom around was incredible. And also my son's father was also like, he's an incredible father. So having this support system of making sure that you would, like, when I have to travel, someone could support, could help. So I think the combination of those four things made it almost like natural. I think I just became even more resourceful after being a mom, professionally speaking.
That's amazing. Yes, but I think it's a good example. And I think it's important for us, right, to be, to voice that, because it's not every woman that think that they can do it. Of course, as you said, there's some privilege that we need to take in consideration, but it's just like the fact that we are both mothers and we are both, leading, the career of our dreams. It's just as a good example that is nowadays is so important, because it's not just about you wanted to continue, but it's other people's opinion, and then the leader that you have, it will make a difference in your career path. And I think it's just the fact that we can be great examples of, yes, doesn't matter if you have one or if you have two or if you have three, but if you still wanted to be a successful woman, you can still be. And then I think it's just listening that Unilever, is a company that gives that support. It's incredible, because not every company that does that. And now, do you think that, because like listening to your story, because there's a lot of things that I'm learning today, which is incredible. Do you think that everything that you do for Dirt is Good? So Dirt is Good is like everything, every campaign that you do, it's very purpose-led. There's a lot of meaning behind. You do think very deep into the culture of every marketing that your activation across all the brands that you're responsible of. Do you think that that experience of you living and moving in so many different countries and learn about so many different, cultures and people and ways of living that help you to create all those amazing campaigns that you do? Do you think that life experience, it's adding value into everything that you're creating today?
Definitely. So the Dirt is Good idea was created 20-something years ago. And when I have the pleasure of working Dirt is Good in the first time around before my son was born, but I was in a position that I was more learning about the brand, of course, but then going back and leading and looking after the brand for over like 5.5 years now. What I've always have done is understand the cultural nuances. So the brand is present in more than 55 countries. In fact, we have 53% of household penetrations in the world. So imagine
So
that
incredible.
1 in 2 households in the world would use a
It's
Dirt is Good
insane.
product. I know. When
It's
I
insane.
think about
Yes.
it, I was like, oops, it's a lot. But what I've always appreciated is the fact that Dirt is Good is a beautiful idea, and it's an idea that helps us to land the top performance products, because we can only say that Dirt is Good because we clean dirt and stains quite well. But at the same time, it's an idea that inspires people to do better and to get stuck in through the power and the joy of getting dirty. So but I do appreciate that while the idea is a beautiful one, we needed to be very respectful with the cultural nuances of the different markets. So to give one example, when Dirt is Good was launched in China, India, and Southeast Asia in general, we quickly realized that it was more acceptable in the context of doing something good for others. So to be very specific, when Dirt is Good was launched in Brazil or here in Europe, you could show like a kid trying to paint something or trying to bake a cake, and you could show that that kid was self-developing through the power of getting dirty and through the power of getting stuck in and letting go. If we would try to do the same sort of campaigns and advertising in Asia, people would say, but no, that kid is just being like not educated. This kid is not doing anything, he's just doing a mess. But then when we would show the same kid that is this very famous advertising in Pakistan, we call Samosa Boy, and when we would then show the same sort of like kids, same age, but this specific story, for instance, of this boy who gets his kurta dirty out of like samosas because he puts a lot of samosas on his shirt to help like an old man to sell the samosas. People love it because he was getting dirty with purpose,
with an intention,
with an intention of helping someone and helping society. And understanding these cultural nuances, like, well, in some countries, the very process of showing a child alone getting dirty and learning is enough. In some other countries, you actually needed to immediately and clearly show the impact to others. And that meant that, well, in a way, helped us to create campaigns that are much more relevant in those countries. And in some cases, we even slightly adapted our tagline. So, for instance, in India, the entire tagline is, if dirt leads to something good, then dirt is good.
I love that.
So we needed to explain that clearly. Nowadays, we just use dirt is good, but we needed to do the entire path to make sure that we could, in a way, be more relevant to society by understanding these cultural nuances.
And I love that. And I love the fact that you gave that example about the boy in Pakistan. It's beautiful because it is so true. It's just like the fact that he was getting dirt to help someone else is just show us that, that is good. Exactly what the brand name it is about. And then last year or was this year? It's just been so much going on this year with the Arsenal and the campaign. How many awards have you won already for the Every Stain Should Be Part of the Game?
I believe 10.
10, and then we launched it in February. And then you had what, like 2 months, 3 months to create that?
Well, the campaign, it took a little longer. So for everybody to know, the campaign, it's part of the game, is it's a campaign that we, in the process of leading Dirt is Good, I realized that it would be important to tackle each and every taboo related to different stains. So when the Dirt is Good idea was born 20 plus years ago, the very idea of kids getting dirty was a taboo.
Yeah.
But of course, now it's quite the opposite. You need to ask kids to get dirty.
We were gonna talk about that because this is it's crazy.
But there are still some stains or dirt that remain a taboo, and we realize that one of them is period blood. And period blood is even, is a taboo in general across the world, and it's incredibly difficult when you are playing sports. So since we have the partnership with Arsenal, both the men and women's team, we wanted to, in a way, amplify the story that we wanted to tell with Arsenal. So we created this campaign about tackling the double standard.
Yeah? I will stop you because I wanted to know, but how did you come with this idea? In which moment do you have that, before you tell us about how then you execute that, because I love to hear about people's creative process and where their ideas are coming from, because this campaign is so unique. It's so incredible, thought through in terms of what is the meaning behind and why it's so important to talk about period and about, blood, and in which moment that creation came into your mind. I wanted to know that. I always wanted to ask this question to you. So now this is the moment.
No, sorry, I went all in. So basically, two things happen. And I think as with everything in my life, it was a mix of a societal issue and a personal one, in full disclosure.
Yes.
So what we do in Dirt is Good is a lot of social listening. And we understood that the most frequent stains in the world nowadays are actually the three most frequent stains: sweat, pollution, and period. Because half of the world will have like a period leak, as we call, and that will stain your knickers or your clothes. So we knew that those were like the three most frequent and in a way relevant stains. So we have different projects or different ways of tackling those three things. When we thought about period blood, I actually, as with everything in Dirt is Good, I wanted to make sure that we wouldn't just say, hey, we have incredible products and we can remove period blood. I knew that to be relevant and talkable, I needed to find a way that I could understand, is this just a stain that people don't know how to clean? Or is this stain still a taboo? And if you compare, for instance, pollution to period blood, pollution there is no taboo, you just want to clean it.
Yeah.
But period stains, I knew intrinsically there was a taboo. And I knew the point on being a bit personal is, as it probably happened to you, in Brazil, I remember that when I had my first period, I was 12. And that was the day that my mom called me and said, well, from now onwards, Tati, you're going to have to wash your underwear. And I was like, why? And she said, no, now you have a period. It's dirty. So immediately when I started reading the reports about, period stains being the most frequent one in the world, it took me back to the moment that I understood that that was a taboo. And actually, I realized just 2 years ago that I was still, up until today, cleaning my underwear, like in the shower, to make sure that nobody would touch it. But the reality is, it's just another stain.
It's just another stain.
So I personally felt, okay, there is something in there. There is a taboo still there. And then I did more and more social listening. And since we've been contextualizing the Dirt is Good campaign within the world and the realm of sport, I wanted to understand what was the taboo within sport. And then my team and I got these incredible data points saying that 6 in 10 girls fear playing due to period leaks. So they just fear that when they are playing and they have their period, they will have a leak, someone will make fun of them. And then I was like, okay, that's it. That is the nugget that we needed to then create the campaign. So it was social listening, an acknowledgement that there was a societal issue, and at the same time some sort of memory that came back to me.
That's why I love to ask questions about personal experience in childhood and back in the days, because we always bring something from our, especially childhood, to what we do, sometimes conscious, sometimes unconscious. And I love that you remind that moment when your mom said. And then as you were talking, I was like, I think my mom did the same. Like, I was just like, when was it? I was 11. And then exactly what you said. My mom said, from now on, you're going to have to clean your underwear. And I could not understand it. Why? Because it's just so new information, right? Just out of the sentence, like you were leaking blood. And then you go like, what is happening with my body? And why my mom is saying that now I have to take care of this and no one can help me. Not that she was not supporting, give advice, yes, but it's for 11 years old. Can you imagine? You're 12. So it's just, it's interesting that you brought that into your creative process. And how do you sell those incredible ideas to a company like Unilever? Because I always been very curious, like how Tati managed to get, because it's just so new, is at the same time is so provocative. How do you sell that internally? Are your leaders, they buy into your creative ideas when they are so like innovative easily, or it's something that, yes, just interesting to know, like how do you get those signed off?
Well, they do not always love it. So sometimes they do, sometimes not. The way in which I do is I strongly believe that brands perform better, and I have a lot of now proven data to say that it's not just a belief, it's a fact. Brands perform better when they can have a purpose in culture, they have some sort of impact on culture and society, but at the same time, they must perform commercially. So I never saw those two things as a paradox.
Yeah.
So that's why even the It's Part of the Game campaign about period stains, it was not only about there is a taboo in society. There was also about it is one of the most frequent stains, people have it. And at the same time that I have the data point on 6 in 10 girls fear playing, I also have another data point saying that 68% of people do not know how to clean period stains. So what I always try to do when I have these ideas is to connect what is in it for society, for people to speak about the brand and to amplify and to make the brand more talkable, but at the same time, what is in it for the business? And that's why in a way, I created this mental process that is the society impact, the category impact or the business impact. And when I prove that there is a real business opportunity, as in, look, if we tackle these type of stains, we are going to have more people, we're going to increase, for instance, penetration or frequency by X%. That is when people listen to me. So I think it's really about adapting your narrative to the reality of the business. And I don't see things separately. In fact, what I love about Dirt is Good, and my team and I have been sharpening this over the last few years, is every time you say dirt is good, first things first, it's a beautiful idea as inspire people to get stuck in through the power of getting dirty. But then the more people listen to that idea and they appreciate it and like it, hopefully they will start getting more dirty. The more people get more dirty, they will be healthier because there are physical, mental, and physiological benefits in getting dirty. The more then they get dirty, the more dirty clothes they will have. So the more I sell. So that is what I call like the virtual cycle of Dirt is Good, which is good for society, but it's good for the business. So the more people get dirty, the better they will be, the better the society will be, but at the same time, the more laundry they will have. And if they have more laundry, hopefully they will come and buy the Dirt is Good products.
No, it is amazing because it's not every brand and not every, leader that think about society and sales at the same time. And consumer nowadays, they want this. They wanted to understand like what's the good message as a brand that you're giving to society, and what that message is actually make an impact in other people's life. And I think that's one of the things that you do brilliant. And then you mentioned about Dirt is Good. Back in the days was about getting children dirty and make this as a norm. But now the challenge is getting kids to be dirty because of social media, video games, and we both have kids. So how does it feel? Are you thinking about doing any campaign that can help children to go back and getting dirt?
Yes, we are cooking a few things, and you're right to say that it is happening with children, but you can see this across generations.
Across generations, 100%.
So the tension within the world now, or the tension that leads Dirt is Good to be even more relevant, is this idea that people are living a spotless yet soulless life or lives. So you see that a lot of people nowadays, as you said, we spend so much time with our phones, and sometimes you have, like in a family, you have people in a living room, each of them with their phones in their hands,
and they're not talking.
They're not talking
to each other. It's crazy,
and you see that happening again in children. It's very easy to notice this habit. And indeed, there are so many issues around that, be it the larger societal issues, as I believe everybody watched Adolescence,
yes.
And you could see how that can be detrimental to society. At the same time, there were, like, for the Brazilians, the recent video from Felca.
Yes.
And the entire discussion.
I thought about you actually when I saw that video. It's like, I'm sure Tati has seen this.
Yeah, so, and it indeed talks a lot about the issues as well that you see on monetization on screens and videos, and how people are now trying so hard to stay more and more, like, to be more famous in a way, but then as a consequence of that, you end up like slaving kids. And so it is quite dramatic. We are very aware of that, and we've been now actually we have this campaign still. We believe that we're going to be able to bring it to life in January, but it's a campaign again with the Arsenal women's team, and it's really speaking about the importance of starting your life outside and not inside. So yes, we are very aware, and we hopefully are going to bring that conversation to life.
And like you mentioned about I love what you said. That is like it's not just the issue with the kids. It's the whole society. I was in Seoul 2 months ago, and traffic lights. What they had to do, because everyone was in the phone crossing the roads, so you have the traffic lights, but you're on your phone. So there was in Seoul the number of people being involved in accidents because they were not looking if the traffic light was yellow, red, or green because they were on the phone increased like 75%.
Wow.
Yes. So what they have to do to protect people of avoiding accident or even death. So the traffic light now in Seoul is on the pavement, is on the street, because if you're looking to your phone, you're not going to miss if the light is green, yellow, or red. And I was so amazed that they had to do that to protect society, because not even to cross the road, we're actually looking straight, we're looking to our phones. And I thought, is this going to be the future of the world, that countries will have to adapt how society is behaving? And now that you mentioned that it's not just it is the society. And I think brands like that is good if you have the opportunity and if you can share that message to make society think different. I think that's the impact that brands can create in not just for kids but overall, because is an issue that it's became beyond just for children. Of course, children, we have to be more careful, right? Because there's the social media and the Snapchat and TikTok and Instagram and the list goes on, and the video games. And then both of us that came from the countryside of Brazil, I had an amazing childhood where I was getting dirty all the time. And then I wish that today could be the memories that I had where, getting dirty was it was a must. It was fun.
And there is absolutely, and there is an important element as well about freedom and protection. At the core of Dirt is Good back in the day was this idea that you would protect your kids by keeping them inside your house. And it was basically about convincing parents that they needed to allow kids to be free and to go outside and to get dirty. Nowadays, there is this big question about where are your kids more protected? We all feel that, maybe if my son, for instance, he's 13, Tom, when Tom is inside a house, I have this idea or this belief that he's potentially safe because he's inside the house. But yes, he has his phone on his hands or his iPad. And I will give a very clear example. 2 weeks ago, Tom asked me, Mom, I want to start going to school cycling with my bike. At the beginning, I was like, no ways. It's very unsafe. You're not going to do it. I prefer you to live this spotless existence, which is he's safe at home. He leaves the house, goes into the bus or the car, arrives in front of school. And then I realized, leading Dirt is Good. I was like, I have to walk the talk. Even my son, who is smart enough to tell me, Mama, Dirt is good, Mama, let me go. So then now it has been 2 weeks since he started cycling to school. Yes, do I still check if he's fine, look at, okay, he is at school, he's okay. Yes, but at the end, I have to let him go. And the reality is he really, of course, he goes with a helmet and now with the lights because it's getting darker, etc. I protect him as much as possible. I always tell him that's how you should cycle, etc. But the reality is he needs to be free, and he is not necessarily more in danger outside than inside. And it takes a while, but it's something that we have to often challenging ourselves. And if I can use the platform that I have with Dirt is Good to tell more people and to amplify that message, which is at the very core of the brand, we
then
would definitely,
you definitely do. Yes, it's funny, like, because we're like the same with Antonio. But I think as I'm thinking that we are more protective and we want to control more, because the world that we're living today is very different to the world that we're living when we were the age. So that's like, sometimes I go like, oh, you're too protective. And then sometimes I get annoyed that he has the phone and has the video game. But then when he leaves the house, I go like, don't forget to get your phone. And then he tells me, it's like, oh, funny that when I am home, I'm not allowed to take my phone. But at the moment I say that I'm leaving, you wanted me to get your phone. And then it's like, oh, it's a paradox, because I want to control at home. But at the same time, I wanted him to have a phone when he's out, because I wanted to control, because it's a different world that we're living in. So I think, but it's just the letting go. It's very important, because at the end of the day, I said, like, that's all about, like, that is good it can be applied to so many things, right?
Yeah.
And Tati, what is next for you when you see, like, because again, what a powerhouse of woman you are, just so inspiring, and to know more about where did you come from, your career journey, and now you're already thinking about another incredible campaign. I'm sure it is going to be another campaign that is going to, make all of us amazed, because your ideas, and I love the fact that you're bringing purpose-led to everything that you think, and creative, and the impact that you are creating in society. As you said, this campaign with its the period is part of the game. Is just amazed, well received by press and all the awards that you have received. When you think future, where do you see yourself after all these accomplishments?
No, I believe it next year for sure. It will be time for me to start working across other brands. I think I'm leaving my legacy now on Dirt is Good, so it will be 6 years in January. But at the same time, for me, the legacy is not only on Dirt is Good, but what I really, really want is for people and marketers all over the world to understand that there is a paradox between society and sales, as you said, but it's a paradox that you have to embrace and be smart enough to find a way to navigate both at the same time. So that's the legacy that I want to leave to people. This idea that you can create a brand that is in half of the households in the world, a brand that is loved by so many people, a brand that has a purpose in culture and a point of view, a perspective, but it's also a brand that has incredible innovations, that sells a lot, that we are always like achieving our targets in terms of like turnover, penetration, because I think that the world demands this now. So that is the legacy that I wanted to leave for Dirt is Good and beyond. And then hopefully I will start working or leaving this legacy and impacting more brands as I keep moving my career, because I'm still far from stopping. So
what makes you excited?
Wow. I think trying to start working across other brands that potentially don't have what Dirt is Good has. I think I've been lucky and honored to lead a brand that so many incredible people have worked on the brand before, like Aline Santos, Ricardo Sapiro, many Brazilians.
Yes, that's what I love. It's just like Brazilians
it's
just
a
running the
Brazilian,
world.
yeah.
Yes.
But I was lucky enough to take in their legacy, including other people like Pierre Emmanuel, who was one of the creators of Dirt is Good. But what I really want now and what excites me is the idea of having new challenges. So now how can I do the same sort of like touch and the same sort of like, how can I have the same sort of impact on brands that don't have the Dirt is Good idea? And because in a way, as I said, I've been lucky of getting an incredible brand and legacy and amplifying it and making it bigger Don't get me wrong, I'm not being apologetic or minimizing what I've done to this brand as well, which has been incredible. But I think it's time to start looking at how this can be done with brands that have a different geographical footprint, a different brand history, and that would really excite me moving forward.
Can't wait to see it. What is next? If you have to tell to Tatiana that was living in Tocantins today, what you would say to her?
Don't give up, which she didn't, but even more importantly, don't think too much about what other people will think of you. You asked me, and I love the question, oh, but did it bother you? Yes, it did. I was always very, very concerned about what will people think, what will people not think. I remember, for instance, also my parents divorced when I was 11, and it was the first divorced like family in town. And that was like, it's not that I personally wanted a divorce as well, if I may say, but what I realized is I spent too much time overthinking. And if I could tell Tati from Tocantins, it would be, take it easy, take it easy. I probably could have been in the same place I am now with slightly less stress, with a little bit more peace and calm, but maybe I needed to be here. So anyways.
Amazing. Tati, again, I'm a big fan of yours. And I love the fact that you are Brazilian, because it makes us even more proud, because we know how it takes to overcome so many challenges and so many, I would say, have you ever had imposter syndrome?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Thinking that you won't be able to do it?
Oh, yes. Many, many times.
And how did you overcome that?
I used to say that I try not to
Overthinking?
Overthinking, yes. It's just like, I'll just do it. Someone recently asked me, I needed to make this rather big presentation to our new CEO 2 days ago. Someone asked me the day before, are you ready? I said, no, I'll never be ready, but I'll just go.
I will just go.
I'll just go. Because if I wait to be ready, I will always doubt myself. So I was like, no, of course I was ready. But I try not to think too much. I was like, I'll just go and see what happens.
So you're amazing. And then again, coming from all the way from Brazil, from Tocantins to São Paulo to be where you are, it's just such an inspiration. And I hope everyone is listening to this podcast, listen to that amazing stories from Tati that will inspire you, whatever you are. Just make sure that you never give up your dreams, because everything is possible when you have the courage to just forget the noise around you and just move forward with intention and with purpose. Then we get there, because we're always going to have a lot of challenge. But if you know that challenge, they are here to help us to achieve what we need to achieve, we wouldn't be afraid of challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been a wonderful conversation. And thank you so much for everyone that's listening to us today. If you're not following us yet, make sure you do follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. And now we have our own Instagram account, Beyond Marketing Podcast. Make sure you follow us there as well. Tati, again, thank you so much for being here. What a lovely conversation. I can't wait to see what is next for That Is Good and what is next for Tatiana.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.